I'm working on a Motorcraft 2100 two-barrel. This one is a pre-1964, I can tell because it has a screw in here, and this is the way the accelerator pump well looks like on the older ones. Doesn't mean if you have a 1963 Ford that your carburetor is a 63. They're transplanted all the time. What I'm telling you is this is a carburetor that's supposed to fit a 63 or earlier. Okay, you could put this carburetor on a 68. So, just want to point that out. Fuel enters, I'm going to show you how the accelerator pump system works and also how to test it. In this carburetor, fuel enters down here through the float bowl. There's a little hole in here, and it enters here, and there's a check ball in here. You see it here. The screw holds this check ball or keeps it from falling out, but that check ball is for the fuel inlet, and the weight of the fuel and the suction of the diaphragm returning will make that check ball lift up and allow fuel to enter and fill the reservoir in here. Okay, so when you push on the gas, that ball is forced down from the pressure, and fuel will go through this hole down here, this small hole. So you can see that okay. Okay, and through this passageway right here and up through the main discharge. This is the main discharge. This is the venturi. Fits in here like that. And there's two little brass parts here where the gas will spit out, and you want gas to spray out here fairly strong on both sides. Okay, be sure that all these little holes are very clean, because if it's not, nothing's going to work correct. Alright, so then on the discharge again, let's see, we have a check ball, goes in there center. Then we got a check weight, which holds it down. Now we've got to put that in after the. Okay, so put the gasket on here. I don't want to mix you up. Okay, so got the check ball in there. Check weight goes in here, and that check weight holds that check ball down while you're, let's say, just idling. You're not accelerating. Otherwise, fuel will tend to be siphoned into through the venturi here when you don't want it to. So that's why that check ball's there. So pressure from the accelerator pump, when it pushes fuel through this passageway I showed you, comes out here and will lift that check ball out and force fuel through these two brass tubes and spray out. So you get that little extra spurt of fuel when you're accelerating, and that's why you need the accelerator pump. So to put this thing together, we got a spring here that goes on this way on this carburetor. Some of them, probably the later ones, go this way, but basically it doesn't matter as long as it fits in there good and you get the spring tension out of it. That's the main thing. Okay, and then your pump goes on like this, and your pump may not look exactly like that. And then here's your accelerator pump housing cover. Get it in the hole here. Okay, so there you go. Now this little hole you see right here in the outside of the housing cover is a relief hole, and that relieves the pressure from when the accelerator pump is moving back and forth, so you don't build up too much pressure in there. And also, if you see fuel coming out of that when you press on the accelerator pump, and then you know your accelerator diaphragm is bad and it's leaking, you need to replace it. So that's one way to tell. Okay, if you're just getting a hesitation, no fuel coming out of here, this could still be your diaphragm, but chances are what you have is a clogged passageway somewhere, and or a check ball missing, or that spring isn't put in there, something like that. Get this tight here. Okay. These things tend to get warped and leak around the edges, the gasket. You can put it in a vise, get some flat stock, heat it up, squeeze it in the vise a little bit. The other thing you do is take a file and file down the corners a little bit, because it's in the middle is where it'll leak. Just over time they tend to get warped. That's the way it is, they're old. Okay, so there you go, the accelerator pump's put together. So I don't know why this had two gaskets on it, only needs one. Something you gotta watch. Let's put some fluid in it. And okay, we're gonna test the pump. So all I'm gonna do is put enough in there to get past that top hole in there. Okay, so it'll fill the pump. And I'm going to prime it here. It'll take several pumps to prime it. I'm going to watch this discharge hole here. See the fuel coming out of it? Okay, so that's what we want. We want some fuel coming out there. Now that's without the weight in there or anything. So now I'm going to test it to see if that check ball is seated okay. I'm going to put a little pressure with the weight and pump it, and it shouldn't get any fuel out there, and I'm not seeing any fuel. Okay, so that's what you want. If you're getting fuel past it, then take a probably a brass drift punch, put in there, tap on it gently, not too hard. You get check ball stuck. To seat that check ball, that's what you do. Okay, so let's put this in here. And it takes a screw, and the screw has to be hollow because that's where the fuel comes through. Tighten that down. Now what I want to do is I want to see if fluid comes out through the two brass tubes like it should, with a fairly strong squirt. Get up here where you can see better maybe. And yes, it just and they come out where you with most of your throttle. Okay, if none comes out for a second at first, and then you keep pumping and then it comes out, you got a problem. It should come out right off the bat. Okay? So that's how you test it. So this one tests good. So you can do the same test on the car. I have an article on our technical section about doing a quick test on your accelerator pump, and that's just turn the engine off, look down the carburetor, pump your accelerator pump. You should see the two strong squirts come out here. If you don't, you got a problem with the accelerator pump. Hesitation can also be a problem with your ignition, in particular your vacuum advance on your distributor. So that's it's not always the carburetor. Matter of fact, I tell people if your engine's not running right, blame your carburetor last. People tend to blame your carburetor first, and that's usually not the case. Okay, so that's how the accelerator pump works, and that's how you test it. And if it tests okay, you can go on and finish putting it together. Thank you for watching.